All right, and welcome to Kneecap Biting with Smokin Jeremy B. I have a couple guests with me. I've got Coach Darcy Melville out of Canada, I do believe, and I got David Pike, the Lions insider, out of San Antonio, Texas.
Hoorah.
So, I got a couple.
Jeremy, I must bestow great praise on that. That gave me shivers watching Barry Sanders doing his little shake and Calvin Johnson triple covered in the end zone. Great video, I must say.
Thank you. Well, let's get right into it. Our first topic tonight, right after a comment comes up. Andrew Nerdlinger, draft is in 8 days. Let's fucking go. Don't
Absolutely.
get yourself a Facebook ban for using fucking there, Andrew. We can say it live, but you can't type it.
I was about to say, if you're going to say that, just put F and then put a star and then the ing. We still know what you're trying to say.
Yep. All right. Lions bring in Pickett and Willis for visits. And as we all know, they are doing their due diligence. They're bringing in anybody that could be a first-round pick. Are they picking them? We don't know. Odds are probably not.
Hopefully not.
Oh, my God, Jeremy, David, you know my thoughts on him.
Oh, stop.
Let's just.
I can't even be serious about it.
Let's just call it for
bad.
what it is. Let's just call it for what it is. Let's just call it for what it is. If the Lions were seriously going to draft any one of the guys they've brought in for potential pre-draft visits, that means they might be even considering to draft Nakobe Dean at number 2. Nobody wants to see us draft Nakobe Dean at number 2.
But they could be drafting him at 32. So there's, the top 30 visits that you get with prospects is just so you can get a little insight. The biggest thing that tells me they're not in on Willis or Pickett is the coaches haven't came out and said the Lions have contacted the head coach of those colleges at all.
No, I mean, even when Rich Eisen was pressing the Liberty head coach, he specifically said, who are the coaches that have contacted you about Willis? And he rattled off like 14, 15 different teams. Not a single one of them were the Lions.
Right.
And
so
plus, on top of that,
said,
Campbell has said they don't want projects at number 2.
But did you see the latest mock drafts this morning? I woke up right out of bed.
Yep, I saw him. I heard about him. I didn't see him myself. But that being said, Stephen King pops in and says, hello all, 1 week from tomorrow. That's right. I will be live at Bay City Bills. David will be joining me via the internet on the show.
Absolutely. Can't wait, Jeremy. I cannot wait. I've taken literally 8 days off of work for this whole thing. So I'm looking forward to it with great anticipation.
Thank God it's prime time for the first 2 nights because I can't get the days off, but I am taking that Saturday off. Keegan Eckert comes in and says, hello all. Nice to see you, Keegan. Glad you're still watching with us.
Absolutely. I mean, let's ask this question.
Oh, here we go. Hi, Jeremy. I agree about insight. Edge rusher at 2. I agree with that too. I want to see one of 3. I want Aiden Hutchinson if he doesn't go 1. And there's a chance that may happen because rumors are that they're the Jags are interested in 4 players at 1, and they have 3 of them ranked above them. It's Evan Neal, Ike Ekwonu, Trayvon Walker because of his versatility and upside, and Aiden Hutchinson.
Yep. But if you take a look at all those guys, they've made more interest seem to be in Walker and Neal rather than Ekwonu and Hutchinson. So in my mind, if you're taking a look at those 4 guys, it's still Evan Neal number 1, Walker number 2, Ekwonu number 3, Hutchinson number 4. That's
Okay,
what I'm
so
personally thinking.
I asked you guys last week, has your mock draft changed for your first?
Not
5
really.
picks?
The only thing that's really changed is that Kyle Hamilton may not be picked in the top 5.
Same thing here. I mean, honestly,
I've seen him fall in some mocks all the way to 13.
the way I see it is this. Again, I said it last week. I've said it on my personal channel. I've said it on our own show. I've said the linchpin of this draft is on what the Jaguars do. If the Jaguars follow traditional wisdom and they go with a tackle, then this draft is going to proceed as most people have been predicting for months. If for whatever reason they take Walker or Hutchinson at number 1, then the whole draft becomes a crapshoot, because then in essence the Lions hold the number 1 draft pick and everybody's going to be ringing to get that draft position.
Yep.
So it really, the linchpin of this draft is on what the Jaguars do.
Dar Erickson has commented, I want Johnson from FSU. I think he's going to be the best edge rusher in this draft class. You know what? If we trade back, I do want him. Right now, he is ranked the 5th best edge rusher, and I agree with that ranking. I have Karlaftis right behind him. I have Walker, Thibodeau, Hutch, and I can't remember who the other guy is off the top of my head. I'd have to go look at it. But Karlaftis and Johnson, they switch between 4 and 5 all the time.
Yeah, and again, let's be frankly honest here. There's nothing that says that the Lions still may not pursue a trade back offer. They might still be in the market. Holmes has been saying for months that he's open for business at number 2. The thing is who's going to be willing to give him that trade back offer that is enough of an enticement for him to take it? Because if you're going to trade out of 2 and you're looking at potentially drafting Aiden Hutchinson, if he's sitting there, it's going to have to be a really damn good offer.
Right. It would have to probably be 2 firsts this year and some future picks or some later round picks. Like if the Texans want Hutch, they would probably have to give up the 3 and the 13 to move up with us to 2.
Absolutely.
Can I say something? What about the smoke screen? Isn't Dan Campbell working his magic really realistically with the smoke
Dan
screen?
Campbell maybe, but Holmes is really the linchpin of it. But they have been in lockstep together the whole time. They've also been the most transparent duo we've ever had here. They didn't give anything. Victor Lester says, what's up, JB? Andrew Merklinger pops in, and nobody knows what the Jags will do because, let's be honest, the Jags GM is a mystery. The Jags GM is a moron.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, the problem is not only is their GM terrible, because if you take a look at his last couple of drafts, he's been pretty bad when it comes to drafting. So far, the only draft pick that he's made in the last couple of years that has any promise right now is Trevor Lawrence. And until they get some more talent around him, the jury's still out on him.
Josh Allen's still doing good there.
Yeah, but how much longer is Josh Allen going to be there before he wants out? How many of the guys that he drafted wanted to leave as soon as the team started falling apart? Jalen Ramsey, the guy before him,
Allen Robinson.
Exactly.
Miles Jack.
They keep losing guys because their GM does an okay job at drafting, but when it comes to team building, he doesn't do as good of a job. So, and now they've got Doug Peterson there, which I hope for Doug Peterson's sake, he can somehow straighten out the mess that was left by Urban Meyer, because that team is a mess.
Let's take it one further with the Jags. Yannick Ngakoue.
Listen,
oh, yeah.
Can I say something?
I forgot about him.
What do you guys think about all this drama about Deebo Samuels and all these guys that want to get traded? Like, it's a new NFL. It never used to be that way. You were on a team and you didn't bitch or anything like that, or you're cut. But, like, isn't this kind of weird with
I don't think it's weird at all, Darcy. I don't think it's weird at all.
I think it's good management.
Kyler
the way
Murray's bitching and whining and, all over. So he's not showing up for off-season training camp. What do you guys think about that?
Kyler Murray is going diva. But Andrew Merklinger asked a good question. Where do you rank Walker on your current draft boards, and does he make sense at 2 if Hutch is gone? Walker has a ton of versatility and a ton of upside. The only problem with that is he's raw and doesn't have the stats to back it up. Yes, he was on a stacked Georgia team, but look at Jermaine Johnson, who was also on that stacked Georgia team last year, hit the transfer portal, went to FSU, and blew it up. So
absolutely.
And Jermaine Johnson was actually doing decent with Georgia last year. So
if you're going to make I can see where this argument for you is going.
That's a track record. That's better. Right now, because of his great combine and his great pro day, Walker has moved up to be 6th to 8th on most draft boards. Anybody in the top 10 is worthy of a top 5 pick.
Exactly, because again, somebody might say, oh, well, taking him at 6 or 8 might seem a little bit of a reach. Well, it's not a bit of a reach if you're at number 2 and he's the best player on your draft board that's left after somebody else might take your draft pick. Again, you got to understand it from this perspective. If Hutch, heaven forbid, if Hutch goes number 1, the Lions are still primarily going to be looking for an edge rusher. Mm-hmm. What better thing to do than if you do take Walker, you got a guy that not only can play the edge, but he can play anywhere on the defensive line and provide you with not only an immense amount of versatility, but he can also be a depth project piece if for whatever reason you need depth.
And that's why they won't take Walker. You said the key word in there.
What's that?
Project.
Well, like he said, he's
Dan
raw.
Campbell has specifically mentioned that project word is not going to happen at 2. He didn't say it wouldn't happen at 32, but he did say at 2, you are not drafting a project player.
He specifically also stated that at number 2, he wants a day 1 difference maker. He wants somebody who can come in and start day 1.
Which tells me that the pick is Hutch or Thibodeau.
Yep, and if it's out of those 2, I go Hutch 100% of the time unless he's not there.
Right, that's basically what it's coming down to, is Hutch or Thibodeau. And due to the injury history, that is why I don't want Thibodeau. But if Hutch is gone, I understand why they take him.
So do I. And again, the thing about it is, the injuries, okay, we can see potentially that injuries, you can train harder, you can train your body to be able to be more resilient to getting injuries. The bigger question I have more with Thibodeau is his character. That's the bigger question I have with Thibodeau rather than his injuries, because people can sometimes work out of injuries. I mean, for crying out loud, when Matthew Stafford came into the league, he was a China doll for the first 2 or 3 years, and now he's turned into one of the Iron Men.
He was the first 2, and then he didn't miss a game till year 10.
Exactly. Yeah. So if for whatever reason Thibodeau can work out to where he doesn't get injured, total win. The bigger question is, can the character issues get worked out?
And Joseph Host pops in. Joseph Holt pops in and says, hi, Smokin' Jeremy. What's the latest news on draft status? We are discussing that now, Joseph, really. And now there's all sorts of other news out there that may affect our draft, too.
Yep, and I know where this is going.
Hamilton or Sauce Gardner, I don't think those 2 are projects. Which one would you take if Hutch goes 1? I'd almost rather have Sauce Gardner than Kyle Hamilton.
I could see why you'd say that, Jeremy.
Sauce Gardner is actually the size of most safeties at 6 foot and 215 pounds. He runs a 4.3 40.
Jeremy, do you know his real nickname?
Yes. It's Armand Gardner. Sauce is his nickname because they put his shit on everything.
It's called A1 Sauce Gardner. That is his real nickname from his Pee Wee coach.
But still,
it's still carried.
Still,
A1,
it's because
A1
it's
Gardner. A1 Sauce.
Because they put that shit on everything.
Yeah. Not Frank's, but A1 Sauce Gardner is his
honestly
real nickname.
To answer this question from Keegan, I would, if if you're going with either one of those two, I would still like Sauce because of one simple thing. Like Jeremy just said, he's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the ability to play safety just because of his physical attributes. But let's just play a hypothetical here. You've got Amani Oruwariye. He has established himself as the number one corner because of how well he played last year. Until Jeff Okudah comes back and establishes himself, you could potentially make an argument for him to transition to safety. You could make that argument, or you could keep Okudah there and transition Sauce Gardner to safety. It adds a level of versatility because it's not like Hamilton is going to suddenly learn how to play cornerback from safety. I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Exactly. What's the size of him?
Sauce
Hamilton?
Gardner?
No.
You already said Sauce Gardner. He wants to know what the size of Hamilton is.
Kyle Hamilton's 6'4" and 215, which at that height with that smaller frame, that may be why he, as much as I hate to say it, that leads to soft tissue injuries. That weight doesn't match that height.
I meant Jeff Okudah. What's the size of Jeff Okudah?
Jeff Okudah's 6'1" and 215.
That's big enough to play safety then.
Right, but the way he's been working out and the way he's been covering the four guys that have been playing with Goff, odds are it looks like he's been able to stay step for step with a couple of guys that are supposed to be speedsters.
I was about to say all the
Josh Reynolds, DJ Shark.
All the videos we've been seeing out of Twitter from him training, he looks just fine. He doesn't look like he's lost a single step in his speed. So, again, if the Lions were to draft someone, they would transition them to safety at cornerback. They wouldn't actually add another cornerback to an already pretty deep room, which is saying something because 2 years ago, our cornerback room was pretty damn bare.
So
here's the three.
Just saying, like what David said there, he said, let's move Jeff Okudah to safety and then draft Sauce Gardner. Would that work?
I don't think they're going to move Okudah, though.
I think they'll move. Either.
I think they'd move a rookie for an easier transition because defensive back is one of the hardest thing to transition to in the NFL anyways. Doesn't matter corner or safety. So wouldn't it be easier to move a rookie that hasn't played in the NFL yet? Or would it be easier to move the NFL player who hasn't even played a full season yet?
It'd be better to transition the rookie because the rookie is coming in with a clean plate.
Okay. We got a couple of questions here real quick. Michael Huck says, if Hutchinson goes 1, any teams that might want to trade up for Thibodeau that I can think of? There's 3 right off the top of my head. 2 of them pick right after us. There's the Texans, there's the Jets, and then possibly even the Giants.
I think the Giants are a little bit of a stretch. I think if you're talking the first team that would want to trade for him, it'd probably be the Texans. The Texans would probably be the first team that would actually want to trade up.
What are the chances we get Watson at 32? I think it's better than most people think because right now Watson is the 7th best wide receiver on the board. And so far, if you look at the wide receiver needs, which I should have posted that screenshot in my banners so I could post it up here, but there's only 5 teams that really need a top flight wide receiver right now. You got Green Bay, you've got the Chiefs, you've got it's not, well, technically you could say Pittsburgh might, but they need O-line bigger than anything, just like the Jets, just like the Giants, just like the Texans, and they all need D-line too.
Jeremy, you were already saying in your last show, at that 32 pick, we might trade out of it.
I wouldn't mind trading out because we have the 34th. That was my thing. If we trade out of the 32 and we get back and get an extra 3rd and an extra 4th and get a 4th and maybe an earlier 5th, that's gold.
It is because you've got to understand something. We don't have a pick from our 97th comp pick all the way until the end of the 5th round. We need a pick in between those two, or else that's a long time to wait. So
you're talking
it would make
about
sense.
At the end of day 2 is your last pick, and you don't pick to the middle of day 3 then.
That's a long time to go without picking somebody. Yeah. Way too long.
So what would you give up? Okay, for 32, what would you what do you want? Would you want another 4th or?
I think you'd want some draft capital for this year and some for next year.
Maybe this year, but definitely this year, but maybe next year too. It depends on what's offered and what team offers it. If it's the Jets, the Texans, or Giants, they have 2 early picks this year.
Absolutely.
You really wouldn't need a bunch of later stuff, but that's why you'd trade out of the 32 and you'd take a wide receiver earlier, especially if you got like the Texans trade where you're picking at 13. That's prime spot to land somebody like London or Jameson Williams or even Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
What do you think about, okay, say we're on the clock at 32. Malik Willis is still on the board. Baltimore wants to trade up to take that because they want to go the college route. What would you get from Baltimore? That's what I want to know.
Baltimore would have to give up a lot to move up.
Oh,
A lot.
But
And I don't think they don't normally make those big trades where they give up a lot of future capital. They try to trade within the season, so they're probably only going to want to move up like 5 to 10 spots, not 20.
Okay. Are they satisfied with their quarterback, though? I don't think that they are.
You don't think they're satisfied with Lamar Jackson? They're trying to give him $40 million a year. I think they're quite satisfied.
Well, let's put it this way. Why, I'm going to say this, and I can't believe I'm saying it. Why in the name of God would you trade up to get a worse version of the quarterback you already have on the roster? Because let's call shit for what it is. Malik Willis is a poor man's version of a Mike Vick. He's a poor man's version of Lamar Jackson. He's got the speed. He's got the ability to make awesome plays, but he sure as hell doesn't have even Lamar Jackson's accuracy.
Jeremy just said it. Jeremy just said it. He said $40 million. That's why.
Maybe
what
so.
What can you do on an NFL team with $40 extra million?
You can build a roster.
Exactly.
Well, here, let's address. We got 3 comments that came in. Draft Hutchinson and trade another first-round pick plus money for Sweeney. I think he means Samuel, and we'll definitely shore up that defensive line. Yeah. Maybe,
I don't see the Lions trading up. I don't see it.
And then I agree with this comment. I agree with this comment 100%. Offense will be pretty decent. Championships are won with defense. Absolutely.
Go back to the 2015 Denver Broncos.
Not lately.
2015 Denver Broncos? Yeah. You had an aging Peyton Manning who was having a hard time playing, and the Broncos defense was what won them that Super Bowl against the Panthers.
I want to address this one specifically. How did Gardner do against higher competition like the game against Alabama? In Armand A1 Sauce Gardner's career in college, he never gave up one touchdown, not one, to any wide receiver from any team.
And let's understand something. Cincinnati, they play some pretty good, pretty ranked opponents. So if he didn't give up a single touchdown, that's very high praise for him.
I know.
Yeah, that's why he became the number 1 cornerback in this draft. Derek Stingley fell, even though he ran a fantastic 40. But wait, let's go back just 4 years ago. They had a cornerback that ran a fantastic 40 time by the name of Greedy Williams, who bowed out halfway through his first drill. I questioned his heart and motor right there. He didn't practice at his pro day. He went into the draft thinking, all right, I'm the best corner in this draft. What is he now? He's a dime back for the Cleveland Browns.
The bigger question with Stingley is his injury history.
Guys. Excuse me. Keegan, for the washroom.
Go ahead. Keegan Eckert also come in. What about Arizona trading up and taking a quarterback? I'm fine with that too, as long as they want to give up the farm to move from a playoff spot to number 2.
Same here, but again, the thing with the Cardinals in doing that is I don't see the Cardinals wanting to move on from Kyler Murray, even though he's being a diva right now, even though he's being a little crybaby bitch. They're not going to move on from him because they realize that he's still the quarterback that they literally drafted to replace Josh Rosen. If you completely redo that all over again, it's going to destroy the franchise, and I don't see them doing it.
Okay, we got 2 more comments. Andrew Merklinger, how would a combo of Hutch and Daxton Hill do? Daxton Hill is kind of a positionless safety player. He primarily played safety, but he also played corner. He lined up in the Viper linebacker role. He was used in blitz packages. He did run coverages. He didn't do as bad as people think in coverage. He actually had 7 pass breakups just in the end zone, not including in the middle of the field this last year.
I actually think if for whatever reason Daxton Hill were to go to us at 32, which is not out of the realm of possibility, I think it would be nice because of just his versatility to play all over the defense. Because I can think of one player that nobody could think of a true position for him when he was coming out of college, and his name was Shannon Sharp, yet he turned out to be one of the best tight ends in NFL history.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying Daxton Hill is going to be an equivalent to Shannon Sharp, but when you don't have a true position, but you can play well at every single position that you've done, I think that gives this defense a versatility to it that freaking Aaron Glenn and Aubrey President are going to love.
Let's talk about the athlete prospects that have came out over the last 20 years. There was a quarterback that was taken in the 6th round by a little team called the New England Patriots, and I'm not talking about Tom Brady. It was a quarterback by the name of Julian Edelman that had a decent 40 time for a quarterback. They turned him into a wide receiver who actually turned out to be a linchpin for that offense. So you have that. You have Mercedes Lewis, a basketball player that came in and only played 2 years in college, blew up the 40 and ended up being a fantastic tight end. You got also Antonio Gates. He was another one. Positionless player that everybody said they didn't want the Lions to take just 2 years ago. Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah, and again, you might find this funny, but when it comes to tight ends, the tight ends that really, really do well in this league are usually former basketball stars because they're good at boxing out. They're good at getting in and getting those tough catches in the end zone. You right. Literally just named a couple of them. Antonio Gates, the former Hall of Famer, Tony Gonzalez. Literally, all these guys have basketball in their background, and that's why they were so good at playing tight end in this league.
A lot of wide receivers and cornerbacks, because of their height and speed, played basketball in college too.
Exactly. So again, the fact that Daxton Hill, to bring this all back to the original question and point, the fact that he doesn't have a true position, he can play corner, he can play safety, he can play a Viper linebacker, that to me does not deter the possibility of the Lions drafting him. If anything, that adds more value to him as the Lions, because again, we've talked about it on this channel. The Lions might do more 3 safety packages and drop one down into the box. If that's something Daxton Hill can excel at, that adds value to him.
Yeah, pretty. Jared Goff. All right. A lot of draft experts say Johnson from Florida State could be a top 5 pick. He could be, because the top 3 might be off the board already. Because right now, Trayvon Walker is the 3rd best defensive end / edge prospect out there. And then it goes to 4 and 5, which is a switch between who do you like, Karlaftis or Johnson.
Exactly. And again, this goes back to what I said earlier. Depending upon what the Jaguars might do, if they take Hutchinson number 1, then that means the Lions will either take Thibodeau or Walker. Well, then probably the Texans are going to take the second of those 2 that didn't get drafted. So then obviously, if you still got a team that wants an edge rusher, Jermaine Johnson somehow slips his way up into the top 5. So you never know.
Okay. I want to do this.
Wow, this guy had a lot to say.
Okay. Facebook user says, is it too late to think about drafting a quarterback? Although there is a few quarterbacks with potential on the board, we need to shore up the defense and stop opposing teams from marching on the field as they've done in the past, which last year we have started that process. Let's finish it this year and work with the studs that we got at offense. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I have said ever since I looked and read every single draft profile of the number 1 quarterback down to the 42nd one that I've seen draft profiles on. There's a few that still don't have them yet, and I'm waiting to read those. Do you know what? They all read the same. They read like a project quarterback, which tells me if there was top 5 quarterbacks like there's been in the past 20 years, guess what? These guys would not be in the first round.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. these quarterbacks this year, the key word with almost every single one of them is upside. You're drafting for upside. You're drafting to see what these guys can develop into. The Lions are not wanting to draft a quarterback right now that can develop into something. You're drafting to build the team up and to do one of two things. Either give Goff the chance to be the franchise guy, or if he doesn't have a chance to develop into the franchise guy, you have the team already built up, ready to compete, and then you go get your quarterback.
And then
The
we
big
have
X factor is making sure or seeing if Jared Goff can develop into the franchise guy. That's what you're waiting for.
And then we
Andrew-
have the extra draft pick from the Rams. If we
Right.
want to move up to the top 5, then we can.
No, we're not moving up to the top 5 because then you're giving up future capital and more capital.
Well,
I'd rather see them move back. Like I said,
no, I mean for next year.
from the-
Next year.
oh, next year, yeah, you could package both to move up. I get that,
Exactly.
but
And get your
Andrew-
quarterback.
Andrew Merklinger actually asked a great question. What is the most ideal player pick at 32 that y'all could see? It really depends on the board after the
Does.
28 teams that pick between 2 and 32. You got to look at 28 teams because we have 2 of those picks.
Yeah.
So really it depends on what's left. But
I mean-
somebody's going to fall
They
more
have
than
to-
everybody thinks.
No,
And you never know because Devin Lloyd, even though he's the best ranked linebacker, is ranked the 22nd best prospect. That's not out of the realm of possibility that he could fall to 32.
It is.
And Facebook user backs up his comment from earlier. We do not have much luck drafting quarterbacks as a franchise, as y'all know from the past. I don't know what you're talking about because Matthew Stafford
What's the best one?
was the best one they've drafted since Bobby Lane.
I think he's
That's
talking about Joey Harrington and then
Oh, yeah. I
Andre
mean,
Ware.
you got Andre Ware, Rodney Peete, Joey Harrington, God, Charlie
Mike
Batch,
Mike McMahon.
Drew
See,
Stanton.
the problem is they always want to dwell in the past. All these Packers, Vikings, Chicago, they're saying, oh, we're going to be just trash this year because of our past. But we have Brad Holmes and we have Dan Campbell.
Right.
Trust him.
We've got different people drafting than what we've had in the past. Brad Holmes, John Dorsey and company that are there doing the scouting and everything. Those guys are fantastic. They have a great track record.
Absolutely.
Michael Huck says, wasn't not having a true position the same thing as said about Jabril Peppers? Yes. And guess what? He pretty much has played safety or kick and punt returner. And had it not been for that awful field that's in New York that we got to play in twice because both games are away between the Jets and Giants, he wouldn't have a blowed out knee this past season.
Yeah. You know, Jeremy, you should tell your crowd what kind of shirt you're wearing right now.
Does anybody recognize this? This is the old Reebok coaching shirt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I
but who
was-
wore that shirt?
I'm going to get to that. I went to one of the places outside of Ford Field for dinner, and lo and behold, there was a coach there. And I can't remember what I said or exactly how I said it, but it was after a game when someone played abysmal, and I made a joke about it, and he spit his coffee all over his shirt.
He thought the joke was funny.
I own the shirt because of that joke.
Now, who was that shirt belonging to before you got it?
Affectionately known as Jim Shorts. Jim Shorts.
No.
Yes.
The Schwarzenegger.
Yes. Thank you, David. I hope you have I have the right name for your military service.
Yes.
Right. Army. Yes.
Army, yeah.
Talking Chuck Long about that. Stephen King, assuming we draft edge at 2, I'm jumping between safety, linebacker, and wide receiver at 32. Like you said, depending on the board. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And then Michael Huck says, looks like the Bobby Ross days when I mentioned all those guys.
I mean, if you look at number 32, that comment was absolutely correct, because let's just play a hypothetical here. If Treylon Burks, probably the most complete wide receiver, is sitting there at number 32, Lions are going to draft him. They will take him because he's probably the best overall wide receiver. And at 32, that's a steal. That is a steal of a pick.
But I think they're going to trade out of that pick, I think.
Somebody's
That's
been
my
paying
prediction.
attention to me more than I thought. Andrew has another comment. The most interesting prospect to me in day 3 is Smoke Monday. I know Jeremy likes him. Where would you draft him? Is there a case for him in the 2nd or 3rd round? 2nd or 3rd round? Probably not.
4th round would be the earliest.
4th round would be the ideal spot. Our old pick that the Cleveland Browns have, because we traded up to get Barnes, would be ideal to land either him or there's the guy I like better that's out of Miami, Ohio. Sterling Weatherford. Look him up, guys. Amazing prospect. Yes, he played at a small school, but his size is amazing. 6'3", 220-pound safety.
Yeah, I mean,
and fast. He ran a 4.48 at his pro day.
I mean, I truly believe that at some point in this draft, the Lions will make a trade to try and get a pick in the 4th round, because that 4th round pick gives you the possibility to fill either another linebacker or fill a safety role. That 4th round pick, I cannot understate it or overstate it enough. That 4th round pick is going to be crucial to the Lions draft plans.
Mm-hmm. Keegan Eckert asked a good one. What if we trade with the Jets for 4 and 10? He goes, I would take Karlaftis at 4, but at 10 we can get Jordan Davis, or what other player could we grab? See, I don't think they Keegan, I like your thought. But I think they'd go a different route with that. At 4, I would almost take Sauce Gardner.
Or Kyle Hamilton.
Because then you're filling a need, big need. At 10, I might grab the wide receiver that everybody's talked about. The guy that only played 8 games. He has an ankle injury, but in 8 games, he put up over 1,000 yards. He had like 83 catches, and he had 8 touchdowns. Drake London.
Yep. Or I could also potentially make an argument, if you take Kyle Hamilton at number 4, you could then also take not only the best safety at number 4, but the best linebacker in Devin Lloyd. Wait till 32, see what wide receiver's sitting there. If Traylon Burks is still sitting there at 32, you not only got probably the most complete wide receiver, you got the best linebacker, and you got the best safety all in the 1st round. At that point, that is an absolute win of a draft.
Wow. Okay.
Andrew Merklanger asked one more. Is it nuts that I'm thinking we're drafting Thornton in the 5th round? What's your thoughts on that actually happening? I don't think he'll fall to pick 177 is the problem. He's like the 140th prospect, and Thornton ran the fastest 40 time of all the wide receivers. So I think he's going to go early in the 5th, maybe late 4th.
Yeah. I mean, I know some people want to say that the 40-yard dash is overrated, but you'd be surprised how many GMs and coaches, they make their draft plans based upon how well certain guys run on their 40s.
There's only one thing you cannot teach a wide receiver. That's speed.
Speed kills.
And if I'm going to take a fast wide receiver and I'm going to take him day 3, since we don't have 234, I'm grabbing him at 217. I'm grabbing that kid out of Northern Iowa I've been talking about for a while, Isaiah Weston.
Jeremy,
can I knew where you were going.
Jeremy, can I ask a question as a Facebook user?
Sure.
How can we get Walker from Michigan State?
Oh, God.
Kenneth Walker?
Yeah.
He's going to be in the 2nd round. If we wanted him, we'd take him at 34. But we have a full running back room. We still have Godwin Igwebuike for whatever reason, I don't know. Mr. Fumbleaya, Fumblerooski, whatever you want to call him, he's there. We still have Craig Reynolds, who's got the nickname Netflix because of how good he played in those 2 games. We still have Jamal Williams. We still have Jamar Jefferson. And then we still have our number 1, DeAndre Swift.
I don't see us drafting Kenneth Walker unless we somehow made a need for him at that position. Which
the only need would be to cut or trade Jamal Williams.
Which Before, I wasn't too keen on that option, but if for whatever reason the Lions wanted to package him as a trade up deal to get a 4th-round pick, that wouldn't be that bad of an idea. I'm not saying it's ideal, but if you wanted to make room to grab Kenneth Walker would be a pretty good replacement for Jamal Williams, and you could package
absolutely.
a deal. You could package a deal to get a 4th-round pick and maybe something else next year for Jamal Williams, because Jamal Williams is still considered a starting quality running back in this league.
Yep.
So it's not that far out of the realm of possibility.
The only reason why I don't like the idea of that is Kenneth Walker isn't the power back everybody thinks. He's more elusive. He's a one-cut back, which means we'd have 3 of them on the roster then. You'd have DeAndre Swift, you'd have Kenneth Walker. Even though he's not much of a receiving back, he's still a one-cut elusive back because his speed is better than what Williams is. So then you got him, and you got Craig Reynolds, and then you got Jameer Jefferson. You don't have any change of pace.
Yeah,
a power back is slower and stronger. So if you're going to draft a running back that's slow and strong, you know what I think? I think you take one at the end of the 5th round. He'll be right there, prime for the picking. He's the 180th prospect in the draft. He outbenched 20 of the 30 defensive ends. He outbenched 15 of the 30 defensive tackles. He outbenched every running back. He outbenched over half of the O-linemen. It's Hassan Haskins. That's a power back. I'm not trying to be a Michigan slappy, but the guy benched 27 reps at 225 pounds. That's a guy that's going to stiff arm somebody. You know the last time a running back benched over 25?
I'm pretty sure that was Derrick Henry.
Yes, it was. Josh Jacobs had 24.
And everyone knows that Derrick Henry is a guy, unless you're Deshaun Elliott, you don't want to tackle.
I saw that today, or this week.
Would you still draft George Pickens in the 2nd or 3rd round? If you don't take a wide receiver at the end of the 1st or in the 2nd round, I would definitely grab George Pickens at the top of the 3rd, which is where I think he falls, because he's like the 9th to 13th best wide receiver.
And again, this is a draft that is loaded with wide receiver talent. I mean, you literally can go up and down the list. You've got Isaiah Weston as a possibility in the late rounds. You've got Alex Pierce. You got Christian Watson. You got Treylon Burks, Drake London. You can literally name off name after name. There's tons of options.
Well, let's bring this up because here it is. Somebody asked about it. Let's bring it up. Ian Rappaport has reported among the teams as to consider as the trade market for Deebo Samuel heats up, the Jets, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Lions, and I assume pretty much any other team who likes really good players. So that being said, the asking price is going to be astronomical. I've heard it's going to be 2 firsts and at least a 3rd. So if that's the case, if you were the Lions GM and you could afford to do it because he's on a rookie contract, you can extend him and his money doesn't go up to the next year. Would you trade like the 32nd pick, maybe next year's 3rd, and then the 2024 1st-round pick? That way you can still build the team in 2023.
Myself, realistically, I'm going to get off after this segment, but holy fuck. Do you want me to take a little paper dollar and roll it up and snort like a fucking big line on 420 today, or no?
No, that's okay. No, I'm asking a realistic question. I'm asking a realistic question because it's been asked.
Honestly, go ahead, Darcy. I'll let you answer.
I'm getting off, guys.
Okay, Darcy.
I'll answer this question then. If for some reason, if you could package the trade deal with the 32nd for this year, a 3rd for next year, and also get the 1st for 2024, if you could somehow get the 49ers to accept that trade deal, that would be a deal I would take. Because what in essence you're doing is you're spreading out the draft capital damage that you'd be taking over the next 3 years. So you're not giving everything up right away, but at the same time, you're still getting somebody of immense value. The really big question I have is, okay, you trade the draft capital. You get him on the team. You have him on his rookie contract still. he's still going to want his money. He's still going to want a contract that's in the $20 to $30 million a year range. That is a lot of cap to be given up for a wide receiver.
Okay. Keegan Eckert asks, what round do you think we take a tight end and who would we pick? I'm going to say vehemently, they're not picking one. We have 5 tight ends on the roster.
Yeah, but I'll just play devil's advocate here, Jeremy. While we have 5 tight ends, how many of them are really good enough to be a backup to TJ Hawkinson?
I don't know.
Just
Hunter
to
Bryant
say.
did good, and Brock Wright both did pretty good while he was out last year.
Brock Wright I'd put over Hunter Bryant simply because Hunter Bryant, every time it seems like he might play, he somehow comes down with an injury.
But I mean, we still picked up 2 more after that. So we have 5 on the roster. We have a guy that actually played and was coached by Dan Campbell right now.
Yeah, Hunter Griffin.
No. You forgot about Garrett Gilbert.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about him too.
If we were a player away, I might do it. But at this point of the build, no effing way, Michael Huck says about the trade for Deebo.
And again, I don't disagree with that either. Again, when you're trying to rebuild the team the way that Holmes is trying to build it through the draft, every draft pick matters. Every draft pick is essential to your rebuild plan. So, again, I'm kind of like 50-50 on that decision. Could you make it if the price was right? Absolutely. But I just think that's an awful lot of resources to give up for one player when you could bring in 3 players that are of equal value.
And here's the big one that I liked. Aiden Hudson came to Detroit for a visit, plus got to throw out the first pitch in the Tigers game versus New York. I think it's pretty huge. I think that's them trying to say, hey, we want you here. Even the Tigers want Aiden Hutchinson here.
Well, Hutchinson has already said it for months. He knows that if the Lions were to draft him, he's instantaneously going to become the hometown hero. And again, the fact that the Lions are bringing him in for a visit, they've already scheduled it, and the fact that everybody keeps saying that the Lions are interested in Hutchinson, again, if Hutchinson is sitting there at number 2, I don't see any way that the Lions potentially move past him unless they get a trade deal that is outside of this world. Just my thoughts. It would literally take a king's ransom for the Lions to let go of Aiden Hutchinson and trade back. It would take a ransom note for a king.
I just saw something funny that was shared.
Oh yeah, what was shared? I was wondering if maybe your feed had frozen.
No. Jeremy, that wide receiver you're talking about, if he's still there in the 3rd round, didn't he have an injury last year? Yes, he did. He recovered from it. He played in the national championship game. George Pickens looked just fine. And he also ran a fast 40. So he was actually at the combine.
Yeah, I mean, again, wide receivers this year, like I've said, there's so many good options. The only 2 wide receivers that I'd be hesitant about drafting due to injuries, the first would be Justin Ross out of Clemson because of the
spinal injury.
The spinal injury, that's the first one. The second one I'd be hesitant about drafting is Jameson Williams because we still haven't seen how well he's recovered from his ACL tear. He's the only other guy I'm kind of worried about because of injury concerns. The other wide receiver I just wouldn't draft purely because of how poorly he performed would be David Bell out of Purdue. Or not Purdue. What is it?
Yeah, that's right. Purdue.
Oh, it is Purdue. I'm thinking of Penn State. I'm getting.
You're thinking of Jahar Dotson.
Yeah, but even still, the only 3 wide receivers I wouldn't draft because of injury or because of performance issues is David Bell, Justin Ross, and Jameson Williams. Those are the only 3 that I would not consider drafting.
Andrew, Hutchinson to the Lions is not the worst kept secret. It's been talked about for months that he more than likely would end up a Lion.
I mean, absolutely. We've been talking about Hutch to Detroit for literal months on end.
Since November.
I mean, at first the focus was primarily on Kayvon Thibodeau because everybody thought he was the best prospect in the draft. But now that's no longer the case because of the injury concerns, because of the character concerns. There's a lot of stuff that's come up along the way that's thrown doubt on Kayvon Thibodeau. But Hutchinson has always been right there on the Detroit Lions list of this is a guy that would go to the Detroit Lions if he's still there at number 2. That's never changed.
Yeah, I was just checking messages on the phone real quick. That's why I looked like I froze. I was reading.
Nope, not a problem, Jeremy.
That's the benefit of having the computer to do this, and the phone to the side.
Oh yeah, you have the ability to do multiple things at once. I do the same thing on
Keegan Eckert is going to drop some news a little bit. There are also more rumors about McLaurin going to the Packers. Deebo and A.J. Brown will stay with their teams. We don't need a receiver for trade. We get a receiver in the draft, and the only receiver profile we're looking for a deep threat that has size and speed to pair with DJ Chark. Absolutely. I'm not saying that they will do it. I'm just saying it's been rumored that they've already started contacting the 49ers. I think the price is too steep to pay. But that trade scenario I suggested, doing the 32nd, a future third, and then even further out in the future first, that doesn't hurt the rebuild.
No, it doesn't. It spreads out the cost over 3 years. But see, here's the thing I will say.
Is that would suck to be in Detroit for the draft and not have a first-round pick.
It would, because that would be in 2024. So that's a good point. But the thing about it with me is for us, I'm trying to remember here what I was going to say.
Andrew Merklinger says, I can't wait to see Jeremy's reaction if we draft Hutch it too. It'll be pretty fucking good. Almost as good as when we drafted Penei Sewell.
Dude, I'll say this, Andrew. You know me very well. The moment, I don't care who it is, so long as the name is not Malik Willis, I will go nuts. And the next thing I'm going to do is rub it in every Malik Willis fan's face from here to doomsday.
You know, I'm not going to rub it in their face. The rubbing in their face will be the fact when I have that player's jersey, that player's draft coin, something signed by him, all of the above. And it'll be posted right behind me on the wall whenever I do my podcast.
Yeah. I'm so tired of these fanatics.
Well, it's
literally trying to run around with stuff.
It's time for me to pay the bills, so I got to say a word about my sponsor, A1 Tire and Auto Repair. Located here in Bay City in 2 locations, one in Cuckolin, one on Broadway. We also have a store in Saginaw on Genesee, which is where I'm currently working. Also at the Cuckolin store, we have used cars at a good price for your selection. Come on in and check us out.
If I was in Michigan, I most certainly would.
I got to get to the comments now. Joseph Home. I know what you mean, Joseph. That would suck if we didn't have a first pick in the 2024 draft. Because I will be there one way or another. I don't care if I got to quit my job. I'm going.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I totally understand that.
That being said, who wants to split a room in Detroit for the draft?
I would have no problem with it, but I'll probably be able to afford my own room because my wife's already knowing what I'm doing with that.
Right. I understand. You're going to start saving as of this year, probably, so you can bring some money and have some fun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I've only ever driven through Detroit. I've never actually spent any meaningful time in Detroit.
You haven't been to a game yet?
No, I've never even stepped inside of Ford Field.
I would almost be happy enough. Let's say it is going to be outside. Let's say it's going to be a cold day. I'd be happy to buy tickets to be in Ford Field to watch it on the big screen.
I almost would too, but that would kind of make it a little fun trying to do our podcast live, wouldn't it?
Oh, we'll do it right there in the concourse. I'll bring a couple backdrops. Rent a booth.
I would have no problem with that. I mean, that's still 2 years away, but it's definitely good to be planning well ahead in advance.
Absolutely. That being said, we're getting up against it. I've covered all the topics tonight.
Yep. Unless anybody.
Oh, let's see.
Uh-oh.
Keegan Ecker says, if we take Hutch, I will run it on Georgia fans, even though they have a stacked team. The only thing that they were holding him all game. Oh, love that take.
Oh, yeah, because I've heard
Andrew
so many people
Merklinger
say
says,
that.
I'm there with you, David. I know how I feel about Willis. Even if I hear his name, I will be so loud and angry.
For me, I'm just going to leave it at this. I'm tired of Lions fans latching on to somebody who, in my opinion, is second rate. That's the way I'm going to put it. I don't
yeah, that's what Joseph. It would really suck if we had the first pick in the first round of 2024. That would suck big time.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, it would. I don't expect that at all.
No. I personally think within 2 years, this team has the potential to be contending on a regular basis for playoff spots. If the rebuild continues the right way. I'll add that caveat. But we'll see what happens. Any more comments, Jeremy?
Not yet. I'm waiting. So, anybody got anything they want to talk about for the Lions or NFL in general? I know Tyler Sandak is a San Diego Chargers fan. I'd love to hear from him. Matter of fact, I'd love to have him on the show. So if he wants to be on the show, he should shoot me a message. Because he's out of San Diego. He's out of San Diego. He was originally a San Diego Chargers. Now they're LA Chargers, and that kind of hurt his feelings, but I get that too. But when the city doesn't want to fix the stadium that they own the rights to, I get it. Joseph Host says, great show, Jeremy. Go Lions, one pride. Absolutely. That being said, it looks like there's no more comments coming in. We're going to call it a night. It's been a pleasure being here. Thanks for watching Kneecap Biting with Smokin Jeremy B. I'm up to 67 subscribers, so keep on liking, keep on sharing, and watch us all the time. Check us out on YouTube. One pride.
One pride, baby.